Good evening. Good evening and welcome to our City Council meeting. It is now, it's 6:01 p.m., so we'll go ahead and get started. Ms. Vicky, what's our first order item on the agenda, please?
Okay, I'll go ahead and confirm a quorum with all members present. So we'll move to, item number 2, which is invocation given by Mayor Greenberg, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the American and Texas flags.
Thank you. Bow your heads with me, please. Dear Lord, thank you so much for this day, for this opportunity to come up here and do the work of the city. God, we thank you for our community that we live in, the free community that we get to call home. Pray that you'll guide each and every one of us to preserve what we have. In Christ's name we pray, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. God bless Texas. All right, Ms. Vicky, next item, please.
Next agenda item is item number 3, public comment, and all of the requests that I've received to address the council are related to the posted public hearing under section 5A, so there are no speakers that will speak at this time.
All right, perfect. So what's our next item?
Item 4 is consent agenda.
Okay, do I have a motion on the consent agenda?
Make a motion we approve the consent agenda.
All right, thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? Please vote on the consent agenda. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. All right, next item, please.
Next is agenda item 5A, which is conduct a public hearing and discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on the petition to recall Cody Chin, Councilmember Place 1.
Okay, thank you. So it is now 6:03 p.m. and we will open the public hearing.
The first speaker signed up to speak is Autumn Lubinsky, address 114 Vallon.
Welcome, Ms. Lubinsky.
Thank you. Autumn Lubinsky, 114 Vallon Drive, recently proclaimed watchdog of the City of Fate. Although called pitiful and petty, I will still continue to make sure our city officials are held accountable for their small but potentially illegal discretions. By the way, Mr. Mayor, the TEC says hello. Also, I would like to thank you for your most recent meetings in which you set a precedence that the 3-minute time limit on public comment and public hearings is no longer being enforced. This allows me to fully address the council with all of my comments instead of having to pick and choose what I have time for. You don't want to look like you're being discriminatory on who you allow to go over 3 minutes. On June 3rd, 2024, I made a public comment about how the city needs a code of conduct regarding interactions with the public. I was told that this would infringe on First Amendment rights. I was called a pain in the A, the B word, by many of the people directly behind this recall. I hated Cody Chin. She was ruthless to me and my family, but nothing crossed the lines illegally. And I was trying everything legally to set up a case for recall. But something changed. Within the first week, I walked into Fresh and saw her sitting with Councilman Harper with budget books for hours while he was explaining the process, while I made faces at him behind her back. They did not change my anger for Cody, but this is a sign that she was trying. Fast forward to charter review. It was no accident that I wanted to be a charter review committee member. I knew that if I was able to secure a spot, I could try to get a code of conduct added to the charter. I was fought every step of the way by city council members, attorneys, and a city commissioner that it was unenforceable as it infringed on First Amendment rights. At that point, I accepted the advice of the people who I believed knew more than me. 2 months later, Councilwoman Chin approached me at a candidate forum. We talked. She apologized. I apologized and asked if she had permission to apologize to my daughter. Things were not forgiven, but I looked at it as an olive branch. Cody's online persona is colorful, to say the least. I don't agree with many of the things. But there are some things that I can see now when I'm no longer filled with anger. But I took the time to go back and look at her original platform and what she stood for. No new apartments, retail and commercial growth, refusal to raise property taxes minus the bond approval, regular community events, transparency about what is happening in the city. I've reviewed her votes, and every single one of them supported her platform. She has never tried to type back a vote that she has made after it was completed. She has posted numerous videos about what's going on in the city and explanations in layman's terms on how it affects the normal citizen. From 65-plus exemptions, zoning, transparency in political events and restoring public trust, budgets, employee appreciation, TML conferences, no one can say they don't know what she is doing and how she is thinking. She has been a part of town halls to help people understand things better, posted polls about how people feel about golf carts. I'm sure the people at Party Cove were happy about this one. To date, 5 out of 5 of the last elected officials ran on transparency. I only have seen one of them being transparent. The others hide behind campaign talking points and do not actually follow through with what they ran on. Mr. Mandeville, I'm still waiting for a response from my email from April of 2025. Cody and I have had our issues, but in this case, what is going on is just wrong. I empathize with those who have had confrontations with her. It's not fun. I've been there, but I also know many of them were right there with her in the beginning saying nasty things about me and my family, and now they are outraged by this behavior. I have receipts that showed they encouraged, they applauded, and now they condemn it. And to address the notion that this is citizen-led, this is categorically false. If it were citizen-led, there would not be a single elected official or family member on the petitioners committee. And to say that the citizens were afraid to be on the petitioners committee, based on my count, there are enough regular citizens who have spoke up to make sure there didn't need to be elected officials on this committee. Like I stated in the beginning, 2 years ago, I was planning on leading the endeavor of recall. Ask everyone around you, but I have had enough sense to know there was no blatant violation of law, charter, or ordinance to initiate a recall. She completed her finance campaign reports legally and accurately. She advertised her campaign to the letter of the law, and since that time, she has proved herself to be a really good council member. Mayor Greenberg, you stated in your campaign rhetoric that you wanted to bring the city of Fate together. You even reiterated it on a phone call we had on June 17th when you threatened to not endorse my reappointment to P&Z if I didn't stop being mean to Mr. Hatley. I want to congratulate you on actually keeping one campaign promise. You did bring a great group of citizens together from all over the city. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that you're going to appreciate the results of that endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lubinsky.
Next, we have Tori Asciatico, address 120 Waxbury Drive.
Welcome, Ms. Asciatico.
Hi, Tori, 120 Waxbury. I have come today to speak on the recall efforts against Cody Chin. To this day, I and I think a lot of other people have yet to hear from you, Mayor, on why this recall effort is being called for. Recalls in elections are meant for very serious situations. Has Cody done anything very serious that has put the city in jeopardy? Or have too many feelings been hurt because of what she said online? Never in my lifetime have I heard of an elected official being recalled over social media. Newsflash, our own Republican president posts some crazy things online. Have you guys taken a look at his social media lately? The past week, I've seen people come out the woodworks, coming to speak about how Cody Chin has affected their life. All about social media. Not a single story involves the real world. Are we still in high school? Are people so sensitive these days they cry about something someone said online? Seriously, this is comical. I have 2 to 10 million viewers on my social media page per month. Lots of hate comments, lots of trash talk come towards me, but it's not that hard to just ignore them and go about my day. Because again, it's just social media. Last week, I think it was, I don't know if she's in here, but I hope you are and you hear this too. But I watched the principal of Springer Elementary come in here and whine that Cody has caused her family great harm because of things that were posted on social media. Actually, you did that to yourself. You told children to get over it after their sibling was sexually molested by one of your teachers. You said your child carries around Nerf guns to keep you safe. So I would explain to your child that you did that, not Cody. Cody is not the only person who called you out on social media for doing that. So you cannot come up here and act like she's the reason your life's chaotic and try to have people feel sorry for you, because you really did it to yourself. And she's certainly not the only person who has taken up for those kids. Myself and hundreds of other people did. But of course, Cody singled out, right? Secondly, to every single person that's complained about a council member's social media, particularly Councilmember Cody Chin's, I just want to remind you what you guys put her through during her election. Cody had so much scrutiny on her back, so much vengeance against her because she didn't fit the norm. People tried to take away her and her husband's livelihood. As well, a large group of people tried to call CPS, encouraged others to call CPS on them. Yes, people are so petty, they brought CPS up to try and take her kids away because they didn't like her. We're talking about a move so low that they started messing with someone's babies. Not only this, but claims were made to a Purple Heart recipient, Chin, her husband, that they were going to call the VA to tell them that he's faking it. This man literally has been shot, hit with multiple roadside bombs, and hit directly with rocket, which is how he earned his Purple Heart. Defending each and every one of our families, and this is what we're doing because we don't like someone, we treat our veterans and their families like this, but when she claps back, now she's the bad guy. Andrew, I don't see anyone causing too much havoc on your life, but you sure care about having Cody pushed out so you can have one of your buddies come in and be your puppet. I'm highly disappointed in you as a person that you would even go along with this, and God forbid you come across someone who won't do what you say or fits your agenda. You're literally a mayor for a small town. No one knows fate unless you live here. Seriously, you are not the president of the United States. You've forgotten what it means to be nice to everyone, no matter their backgrounds and beliefs, and have let politics get to your big head. You're the type of person who feels like he needs a title in politics to feel like somebody special. Newsflash, we don't give a crap. I liked you at first, but after seeing you hide behind closed doors on this recall like a wuss, and not having anything to say after we've asked you repeatedly why you're pushing this recall so much, and you literally have told people to stay off social media and not say anything. So after that, I've seen your true colors, could care less. I think you really need to pray about your intentions here in your heart. As of right now, you look like a follower, not a leader. And I think it's pretty hypocritical that you start a prayer and you're literally a hypocrite about that. Anyways, Cody, no matter the outcome of this recall, I want to tell you that you're so strong and brave, seriously. In the history of the Fate City Council, you've made a name for yourself and you've already done that. You are the one who has stuck up for things no matter what other people thought of you. People have painted you as a bad guy, but I know you as a human being. I've seen your strength when people try to mess with your babies over sitting in that chair. I've seen your strength when people have tried to strip you and everything over sitting in that chair. I've seen your strength when people have tried to discredit your husband for serving our country just for sitting in that chair. You are seriously a world changer. And I know one day you're going to make a badass politician in the big game. Fuck this small shit. Your voice matters, and you belong in bigger seats. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Ashiatiko.
Next is Corey Booth, address 506 North Goliad Street.
Welcome, Ms. Booth.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Corey Booth, 506 North Goliad. My name is Corey, and I'm here tonight because I refuse to remain silent when the truth is twisted. I'm here to speak plainly, honestly, and with a grateful heart about who Cody Chin really is. A few years ago, I'm sure many of you have heard, our family walked into the darkest season of our entire lives. Our 4-year-old child came to us with something that parents never, ever want to hear. And we did what every parent should do. We believed him. We protected him. We spoke up when the system failed to protect him and other children unknowingly going into a monster's classroom. The head of that school was, who spoke at the last session, Miss Andrea Olive, who was a victim. She wasn't the victim. She was a victim of her own choices. When we spoke up, we were told to be silent or else by the Rockwall establishment. We were doubted. We were dismissed. We were pressured. We were lied about, and we were intimidated. Instead of support, we faced resistance from institutions that should be protecting our children, that should be protecting our communities. We were told evidence had been accidentally overwritten. We were told nothing to see here, just move on. And that's what Miss Olive actually told my 12-year-old, my fourth grader, my fifth grader at the time, just move on, it's over. What a great role model for our community. Later we learned, nobody knows this yet. Newsflash, everybody, the videos weren't actually overwritten. They weren't. You know what they were? They deleted some and replaced them with others. Perfect example, October 26th and October 21st, same exact video, duplicated with a new timestamp by our sheriff's department, by Rockwall ISD, all the people we're supposed to trust. Andrea Olive was the one who viewed those videos the first time with the sheriff's deputy. And in the middle of the chaos, when we were grieving, we were overwhelmed and we were exhausted because we had a child who was perfectly fine, thriving little boy, reverted back to like a 1.5, 2-year-old, couldn't tie his shoes, couldn't speak, was stuttering. The school came out and had a whole propaganda campaign against us and said, oh, he's mute. No, he wasn't mute. He spoke, and he spoke very clearly as to who his predator was. But it's convenient when you delete videos and you rearrange evidence. Wouldn't it be nice if we could all do that for the cases that we want? Which I think actually may be happening here. I don't know all the details. One thing I do know is that there was only one elected official in all of Rockwall County that reached out to us directly. Only one asked us hard questions. Only one refused to look away. That person was Cody Chin. She didn't do it for politics, not for attention, and definitely not for gain. In fact, championing for us came at a great personal and political cost to her and her family. It was, in many ways, political suicide. But you know what? She did it anyways. Do you know why she did it? Because it was the right thing to do. Cody didn't offer quiet sympathy behind closed doors like some other pretty prevalent politicians in our community. She didn't say, I support you, but please don't quote me. No, what Cody did was she locked arms with me, with my husband, with my family. She stood when others were afraid. She stood when it was uncomfortable. She stood when she had to risk everything to do so. She stood when it would have been much easier to just walk away and say, let bygones be bygones. And now, that very woman who stood up for a hurting child and a very distraught and hurt mother and father and brother and sister is now being portrayed as a threat to children. Let me be very clear. That is an absolute lie. Cody Chin is a protector of children. She is a defender of families. She is a warrior for the voiceless. She is being attacked because she refused to play along. She refused to be quiet. She refused to bow to the pressure of the Rockwall elite. She challenged the status quo. And the Rockwall machine doesn't like anybody who challenges the status quo. You may not love her tone. You may not agree with everything she has to say. You may not always love her delivery. She can be bold. She can be sharp. She can be unapologetic and sometimes even ruthless. But I promise you this, If your family ever needs someone to fight for you, if your child ever needs a defender, if truth ever needs a champion, you, too, will want Cody Chin on your side. She's not impressed by titles. She's not intimidated by power. She is not bought and paid for. She is not silent. My family will forever be grateful for her courage. She helped preserve our dignity. She helped protect our family spirit. She helped remind everyone in Rockwall County and beyond that justice still matters. So tonight, I stand here not just in support of Cody. I stand in defense of truth. I stand for families who have been silenced. I stand for children who deserve to be believed. And I stand with a woman who chose integrity over comfort. Cody, thank you for everything that you did and that you continue to do. You did not abandon us. You did not betray us. And she never, ever looked away. And we will never forget that. And I'm asking the citizens of Fate and this city council that you would remember that too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Booth.
Next is Jason Eddington, address 9500 FM 740.
Welcome back, Mr. Eddington.
Hey guys, good evening. Sorry that I got the maroon hat and the red shirt. It's been a crazy day putting up signs. But I want to kind of tell you guys about how Cody and I first met. Cody and I met back in September after she first learned about my campaign. And what I recall actually is that she didn't immediately support or oppose my campaign, and I'm sure that's not a surprise for many of you. Actually, for me, she did something that was really far more important. She took the time to sit with me. She took the time to ask me questions. And it's no surprise that all the questions that she asked were related to Fate. She asked me why I was running. She asked me how I plan to support the community of Fate. She asked me how I would work with the leaders already established in Fate, and how I would make sure that I supported their priorities. Those weren't just casual questions. Those were direct, intentional, and what I learned about Cody is that she cared about Fate. What stood out most was that those questions weren't about politics. They were about the well-being of everybody sitting here. Ironically, they were about how I was going to support you because she cared about you. She stood up for you. She wasn't politicking, she wasn't posturing, she wasn't doing what officials normally do. She engaged, she listened, and she was holding me accountable for what I was saying. She made time not to advance herself, but to better understand someone who was stepping forward to serve the city, to serve the community. You may not always agree with her on every issue. I may not agree with her on every issue, but here's what I can say with absolute certainty. You will always know where she stands. In today's political climate, that's rare. She doesn't compromise the integrity of her office to win approval. She doesn't shift from her convictions just to please you or for pressure. Whether you agree with her or not, you never have to wonder what she believes in or where she stands. That's the kind of consistency that builds trust, even among those who disagree, which I think we've shown tonight. Look at the people who have spoken for her tonight. And that brings me to something broader. We live in a time where bluntness is often mistaken for disqualification, where strong opinions are treated as grounds for removal. We see this, as someone said, nationally. President Trump, his tone, his post, his delivery, many find them combative. The First Amendment protects his speech, even speech that is blunt, that challenges, that makes us feel uncomfortable. It would be wrong whether here locally or nationally, as they are maneuvering to do, to push someone out of office simply because their words are direct or simply not polished for enough to not to offend someone is still a First Amendment. Disagreement is not grounds for erasure. Elections determine leadership, not discomfort. If we start removing leaders because we dislike how firmly they stand, we undermine the very principles that allow our government to function. Tonight isn't just about this recall. It's about whether we value conviction, whether we respect integrity, whether we understand that courage sometimes looks like standing firm when it would be easier to bend. We don't all have to agree, but we should all have the courage to stand on our principles and convictions for what we believe is right. And we should respect that courage in others, even when their convictions differ from our own. That's how communities grow stronger. That's how leadership earns respect. That's why Cody will always have my appreciation. And that's how we move forward together. She's the example of how you should lead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eddington.
Next is Tammy Proctor, address 630 Sunset Hill. Mayor, if you're fine with it, we'll move to somebody else, and I'll just put her at the bottom of the stack.
She's more than welcome to come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next will be Ryan Strobel, address 231 High Edge.
Good evening, Council. We meet again. First, I'd like to preface that there is nothing that I can say that will weigh more heavily than the testaments of those that just spoke before me. Ms. Booth, Tori, Autumn, Mr. Eddington. To that, I'm here tonight as a resident who cares deeply about our community and the trust we place in our local government. My understanding has always been that local government is meant to rise above partisanship. At this level, elected officials are chosen to serve their neighbors and long-term interests of the city, not personal agendas or interpersonal conflicts. The ongoing recall effort has created real concern among many of us who live here, and while many of us have spoken up, it has yet to been addressed. While I won't comment on the merits of that process itself, I do want to acknowledge the broader impact it has had on the community. In the recent weeks, the situation has eroded public trust in the dais. It has also raised questions about fairness and consistency, as behaviors labeled unbecoming seem to be judged differently depending on who's involved. When a council member is recorded making threats towards the city manager, that too raises the question of what qualifies inappropriate conduct. What troubles residents the most is not the recall as a procedural tool, but how this process has unfolded privately, inconsistently, and without clear communication from those elected to represent us. Aside from citizen comments, there have been very little transparency or explanation from council about their involvement of their position. The lack of openness has created unnecessary division in a city that has always prided itself on community. I'll continue then. We are also approaching a new election cycle. I fear the tone and conduct we've seen, secret recordings, public conflicts, and unclear motives may discourage otherwise strong, civic-minded people from stepping forward to serve. We want leaders who can disagree respectfully, collaborate productively, and put the city of fate before themselves. We have a wonderful community here. People choose fate because it feels safe, it feels connected, and it felt well run. I believe our council has the opportunity and the responsibility to restore that confidence. My request is very simple. Please refocus on transparency, consistency, and cooperation. Show the residents that the city council can work together through differences in a constructive way, and that personal agendas will not overshadow the broader mission of serving this city. For what it's worth, I'll go off script. I do also just want to state that my position is not necessarily that I'm in favor of Cody directly, personally. What I'm in favor of is, again, the lack of transparency, the lack of communication to this community as to this entire process. Sure, many of us are uneducated, we're uninformed, we're ill-informed. We look to you guys to provide us the context and the clarity we need to understand what's going on. And as far as I'm concerned, and I'm only one person in this town, as far as I'm concerned, that context has yet to be provided. Cody and I had a personal tension, personal discord previously, and I only say that not for anything other than to suggest that my position does come from a non-biased position. Again, I'm not necessarily here to support Cody directly, but as a byproduct of not supporting this recall, one could argue that I am supporting Cody. Cody's also been the only person in City Council, shy of Mark Harper, that I've had dialogue with and talked about the city. Again, I just say that to conclude my previous statement that I feel as though we have not been provided any information from the council to tell us what the hell is going on here. With that being said, as always, I do truly appreciate every one of your time, everyone's attention when it's provided, and to that, you guys have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Strobel.
Next is Brenda Ricada, address 640 Bunker Hill.
Welcome, Ms. Ricada.
Hi. Excuse me if you can't hear me. I just had neck surgery 3 months ago. I am standing here tonight because I am worried about the direction of our city. I am deeply disappointed in the mayor. Could I have your attention? Thank you. And the 3 council members who are pushing this recall. To be honest, what we are seeing from the mayor is not leadership. A leader is someone who brings people together to solve problems. A leader builds bridges. But what we have here is a chaos maker. By pushing this recall, the mayor is choosing to stir up drama instead of doing his job. He is choosing to create division instead of peace. This whole situation feels like an attempt to steal our vote away. In June 2024, the people of faith spoke. We elected Council Member Chen with 56% of our votes. That was our choice. Now the mayor and 3 others want to act like our voices don't matter. We have heard from a few people who have voters' regret. They come to the microphone and they complain, but they leave out the most important part. They don't talk about what they did to put Council Member Chen on the defense in the first place. You cannot poke someone over and over again and then act shocked when they defend themselves. It is not fair to tell only half of the story to try to kick someone out of office. This recall is a waste of time. It's a waste of tax money. We should be spending money on the roads and our safety, not on a political game because the mayor wants to cause chaos. If you don't like the council members that you voted against, if you don't like the council members you voted against, then at the next election, you get to, you take care of it at the next election. You don't get to throw away the votes of hundreds of people who already made their decision. Mayor, I am asking you to stop. Stop the chaos and start being a leader. Respect the voters, respect the 2024 election, and let the council get back to work. And I also want to say, I voted for you, and you. And I voted for Cody. Out of that amount, I have regret, you. But I'm going to do it when election comes around. And the sad part is that Cody, I didn't know who you were. I didn't know who you 3 were. She's the one that introduced me to you. especially you. You joined us in a lot of the gatherings. And I know that, it was sad now to see what we have. So she helped us know you, and you are all now against her. Shame on you. You need to do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ricotta.
And last, we have Tammy Proctor, address 630 Sunset Hill.
Welcome, Ms. Proctor.
Hello, I am here to speak out today for Councilwoman Cody Chen. I watched the comments from the past 2 city council meetings and I was really disgusted. There was a person that came and told lies about how Councilwoman Chen led a protest at the high school, put kids in danger, and said that protesters followed students to their cars. Those are flat-out lies. Let me set the record straight because I was actually there and I can attest. To begin with, the protest started in front of Rockwall High School, and it's important to state that Cody was there supporting a Rockwall mother whose young child came to her and told her about an experience of being sexually assaulted by a Rockwall ISD teacher. This was no ordinary teacher, though. This teacher is related to higher-ups in Rockwall. Instead of citizens supporting this mother and her child, way too many chose to support the teacher and called the child and their family liars. The father's character was also attacked as a result. Cody, along with myself, backed this mother, her child, and their family. It is also important to note that excuse me. It is also important to note that people there protesting that day were also protesting because of their own problems with Rockwall ISD, including myself. One of the students there said that she was raped by a high school boy and it was swept under the rug because he was a football player. She wanted to be heard too. What a brave young lady, and she was empowered to be there because of this protest. Next, let's talk about how absolutely no kids were put in danger, as it was claimed by that principal. The police and members of the administration were there when we arrived, and they stayed near us watching. There were several students there protesting, and even Mrs. Chen's own younger child was there. Just an amazing, strong child. There was never any danger for anyone around. In addition, never did any one of us ever follow anyone to their car, much less a student. No students were harassed or anything close to it. In fact, this was during school hours, so the only time students were visible was for a few minutes when they were leaving campus or coming back to campus to switch classes. I think it is also very important to note that the mother of the small child who said they were sexually assaulted by that teacher never gave up. The parents kept fighting and actually got new legislation passed because of it that helps children. I'd also like to give the unsuspecting public some very informative history about some of what Councilwoman Cody and her family has been put through since she started running for office. I think this might give some insight as to why she feels the need to defend herself and her family so fiercely. Councilwoman Chen's livelihood was attacked, her family, her character, and her family's character. They reported her home business salon to get it shut down and prevent her from being able to help provide for her family. They also called CPS on her to try to have her kids taken away and caused problems for her both mentally and emotionally, and her husband and children the like. These are very serious attacks. Her husband was recently painted to be violent when he spoke up for his wife, and she has been painted to be a violent person as they have quoted her out of context. They quoted her saying that she was coming for their throats. And she immediately said after, metaphorically speaking, of course, I am not a violent person. Many citizens asked why the recall was proposed in the first place. When I found out about the recall efforts, I immediately wanted to know the answer to that question as well. Like most of you, I was not given a valid reason. Notice that any reason they have recently spoken on has been Mrs. Chin's reactions to their attacks and behaviors after they already filed the petition to recall Cody. Essentially, they have been bullying her and trying to scramble for something to support this bogus recall. So why? Why is fate here today? Well, one is because the mayor and a few other council members allowed this recall to go on this far, even though deadlines were passed. I also believe that it's because Mrs. Chin stood up for that child back then and against the teacher who is related to members of the establishment in Rockwall. And then she presented a complaint from an anonymous DPS member who was blowing the whistle on some bad things happening to some FATE firefighters and police officers, collectively known as FATE DPS. To my knowledge, an investigation was then done by HR and the city manager, and the chief of police was fired. Cody did not fire the chief, and the council as a whole was involved in their recommendation to fire the chief. Yet Cody is the one that has taken the fall. This also upset the good old boys. The recordings surrounding the whole thing that was blamed on Cody have actually been released today. But not only did Cody stand up for these people, she was very informative about it all online. I believe this is Councilwoman Chin's promise of transparency, but that is not what the establishment wants. The recall to silence her, this recall is to silence her. And why have some members of the Rockwall Republican Party gotten extra involved in this recall? I believe it is revenge for standing up against the teacher in Rockwall ISD that was accused of sexually assaulting the child. When asked why they were trying to recall Mrs. Chin, what were the 400 residents who signed the petition to recall Cody told that the rest of the public wasn't? Notice that the things that people have come to speak about recently in support of Cody's recall have been about things they claim happened or accused her of after the recall was already signed and submitted. Now, all of a sudden, certain people seem to be very vocal with accusations of doxing information that is on a public document, some information that they themselves post or have posted on social media, and some information that is stated here on video for all to hear. They claim to fear for their safety. Councilwoman Chin has done nothing to anybody except have an unpleasant online exchanges. Instead, the actual attacks and retaliation to Mrs. Chin and her family have been very real. Her livelihood was attacked. They tried having her children taken away. And they have attacked the character of her husband, Mr. Chin. They mocked her husband's PTSD he got from serving our country, that we may have the right to free speech. How crazy is it that Mr. Chin fought for our free speech rights and they want to silence Mrs. Chin and even Mr. Chin himself? Mr. Chin speaks up for his wife, and he's painted as an aggressive, scary black man. The other councilwoman's husband gets up and fights for his wife, and he's seen as an honorable man. This is the twisted thought process that we are dealing with. It's okay to constantly attack Mrs. Chin because she's a public servant, so long as they claim they're Christian and hypocritically quote scriptures. But if Councilwoman Chin tries to defend herself, they claim she's the bully and unbecoming. To me, that's called projecting. What has Councilwoman Chin actually done besides try to defend herself and her family, be transparent to the voters, and stand up for others and what's right? Could she word things better? Yes. But as I have explained, she has been under attack so hard for so long that I believe she makes a mistake sometimes, and she apologizes for them. How would you react if your family, and your livelihood were being attacked? If people who didn't like you standing up for a child tried to have your children taken away? These are very real, serious attacks, not made-up attacks. Regardless, citizens of Fate voted Mrs. Chin in because she stood for standing up against the establishment, the good old boys club, doing what's right and being transparent with citizens of Fate. That is exactly what Ms. Chin has been trying to do. She is not involved in secret, backdoor, or under-the-table dealings. She is not a puppet for this council or the Rockwall City Council, and this is another reason why I believe they want her out ASAP. As most have heard, if this recall is successful, the remaining city council members will be able to handpick Mrs. Chin's replacement. That means they will be able to pick someone who will be silent, who won't challenge them, who won't stick their neck out for people, and who will, most importantly, fall in line. Is that what you want? Because I don't see the council doing the right thing and dropping this recall today. If it does go through, you guys have the opportunity to send a very powerful, important message to the good old boys, to the establishment. If you vote to keep Cody Chin, you will be telling them that you will not sit back and let them make whatever decisions they see personally fit about your city. You will tell the members of the Rockwall Republican Party involved in this recall that you don't want your city council members to be their puppets. You will have the opportunity to say no. You will be able to say Mrs. Chin was voted in by the people and for the people, and that your mayor and the other members of this Fate City Council cannot just push her out and silence her, and therefore silencing you. The citizens have been confused because this recall was not a citizen-led recall, but instead by members of the City Fate Council and members of the Rockwall Republican Party. When my household saw this, we were partially thankful because the secrets have come out, and now this will affect the way we vote in Rockwall. We saw the people that appeared to be trustworthy were not. You will have the opportunity to show all the surrounding cities that you, the people of Fate, demand to have a democracy and not a dictatorship in Fate. Don't let Fate be Rockwall's puppet, because that's what it currently appears to be. Support Cody, help Cody stay in office, and to defend herself and her family from real attacks by the establishment. Hang in there, you're an amazing woman, and you don't deserve this, Cody Chin.
Thank you, Ms. Proctor.
There are no others that have signed up to speak.
Okay. Anything from council on this issue? Ms. Chin.
Let me start by saying this loud and clear for every single person who showed up at Monday's meeting and had the audacity to disparage my 4-time deployed combat veteran husband, the man who now carries an 100% VA disability rating because he bled for this country, for this freedom, for exactly what we are fighting for right here and right now. He put his life on the line so we could stand in these chambers and speak truth without fear. And you dare mock that. Shame on all of you. Back in 2024, when I first stepped up to run, I sat down face to face with the very people who now treat me like public enemy number one. And I told them straight to their face, if I have to change who I am, muzzle my voice, soften my edges even 1 inch to play this game, I'm out and I don't want it. They knew, they all knew exactly who they were getting, and they were all smiles, until my offensive words stopped aligning with their agenda. Now they slither up here week after week, whining in public comments about how they begged me to tone it down on the campaign trail. That's a flat-out lie. They loved the fire when it scorched their enemies. They cheered the unfiltered truth when it suited them. But the second it turned on their precious status quo, suddenly I'm the problem. These people are hypocrites. How many times have I stood right here and declared, I'm an activist, not a politician? What did you think was going to happen exactly? Did you expect me to trade in my spine for a seat at your table? Nothing, and I mean nothing, has changed since 2024. I still can't be bought. I still don't give a damn about your cocktail parties, your fancy GOP dinners, or posing for photos with Greg Abbott or any of your other polished suits. Those things mean zero to me. What does matter to me are kids, and it always has. I stumbled into local politics by accident because I was fired up at a city council meeting because of a pimp from California who was living way too close to Bobby Summers Middle School. He was violating our city ordinances and threatening the safety of our children. If you think I haven't toned down my crazy, pull up that video. Watch me unleash back then. I was a force then, and I'm a force now. I have never lied to you about who I am. I have never hid my goals on this council. So when people saw me a month after being sworn in, holding a sign on the roadside, standing up for a child because allegedly his teacher had hurt him, that should surprise absolutely no one. I will never let some stupid title like City Councilwoman silence me when injustice is staring us all in the face. I will always put people over politics, period. And yeah, that's going to terrify some of these folks, especially the elitist crowd in Rockwall County, with their eyes on higher office, scheming in the shadows, recording phone calls secretly, and playing their dirty games. To them, I say, too daggum bad. You wanted this fighter. You voted for this fighter. You begged for authenticity until it burned you. As long as I have breath in my lungs, I will keep fighting for the people that are without a platform, the ones gagged by their jobs and their official titles, the ones that are forgotten by the establishment, the voiceless who've been told to sit down and shut up. I'm not backing down. I'm not toning it down, and I'm not going anywhere, no matter what happens on May 2nd. This is who I am, and this is what you got, and I'm proud of it. So let's keep fighting for our kids, for our freedom, specifically our freedom of speech from the First Amendment, because if we don't, who the hell will? The other thing I would like to read, for the record, is from my attorney because of the allegations that have been laced against me. So here we go. I represent Fate City Councilwoman Cody Chin in relation to Mayor Greenberg's authoritarian crusade to usurp the will of the people and remove Councilwoman Chin from her duly elected position. Acting in his official capacity, Mayor Greenberg made audio recordings of elected officials and later circumvented the charter's requirement that the certification of sufficiency and the petition be presented at the next regular city council meeting. The actions taken against Councilwoman Chin merely for asserting her constitutional First Amendment right to free speech will have a lasting impact that deteriorates the foundation of our constitutional republic. As Justice William Brennan so eloquently stated in his majority opinion in the flag burning decision, Texas versus Johnson, he says, If there's a bedrock principle underlining the First Amendment, it is that government may not prohibit the expression of an idea simply because society finds the idea itself offensive or disagreeable. 1. The audio recordings and deliberative process privilege. Mayor Greenberg and Councilmember Hatley made audio recordings of other elected officials discussing official city business of the City of Fate. During the February 2nd meeting, during the February 2nd City Council meeting, Councilmember Hatley moved to waive the deliberative process privilege for the 1 recording made by Mayor Greenberg and the 8 recordings made by Councilperson Hatley in the last several months. Next, several council members discussed potential civil liability for the City of Fate if purported privilege was not waived, followed by a pre-vote clarification by the city attorney that the vote was just a waiver of the deliberative process privilege. However, the deliberative process privilege is inapplicable, as Section 552.111 applies to policymaking and not personnel decisions. See City of Garland versus the Dallas Morning News. Assuming arguendo that a privilege did apply to the Greenberg-Hatley recordings, that privilege was completely eviscerated and thereby waived when the recordings were released to a private third party in and around November 2025. The Greenberg-Hatley recordings were withheld from the voters. And until today, they were still being withheld from the voters. Throughout the sham recall process initiated by Mayor Greenberg and others, which prevented the voters from making an informed decision prior to placing their signatures on the petition for recall. 2, the police report, penal code, and ethics complaint. On January 5th, 2026, the city secretary received and file stamped the affidavit of petitioner's committee for recall petition. On the same day, multiple individuals, including City of Fate public officials, filed an offense report with the City of Fate Police Department alleging that Councilwoman Chen violated Texas Penal Code Section 42.074, also known as the doxing statute, for posting a copy of a public document authored by public officials, notarized by a public notary, received and stamped by the public secretary, and completely funded by the public taxpayers of the City of Fate. Since the term doxing has been referenced and directed towards Councilwoman Chen rather recklessly as of late, it is important to note that Section 42.074 has an explicit carve-out for public servants, like Councilwoman Cody Chen, specifically Section 42.04C, that states, this section does not apply to a public servant who posted information described by subsection A to a publicly accessible website in the performance of the public servant's duties as required by or in accordance with Fate and federal law. Additionally, and just as importantly, Section 42.074A requires that someone have the specific intent to cause harm or a threat of harm to an individual by posting their residential address or telephone number on a publicly accessible website. The January 5th, 2026 publicly filed affidavit of petitioners committee for recall petition contains names and residential addresses of the committee members in support of the petition for recall of Councilmember Chen. As you know, many of the individuals who claim to have been doxxed by Councilwoman Chen in the January 5th, 2026 offense report filed with the City of Fate Police Department have since had no problem, no reservations or hesitation in publicly stating their full names and residential addresses after the city secretary introduces them by their full names and their residential addresses at the recent public city council meetings, which are available for anyone in the entire world on YouTube. On January 13, 2026, an individual named Milford Long filed a complaint against Councilwoman Chen with the Texas Ethics Commission. That complaint, which alleged that Councilwoman Chen committed a crime posting a copy of a public document authored by public officials, notarized by a public notary, received and stamped by the public secretary, city secretary, and completely funded by public taxpayers of the City of Fate, was summarily dismissed by the Texas Ethics Commission faster than green grass through a goose. My attorney's a little country. Specifically, the January 16, 2026 notice of dismissal by the Texas Ethics Commission stated the sworn complaint filed by Mr. Long does not allege sufficient facts to state a violation of any law administered and enforced by the TEC. Therefore, the complaint is hereby dismissed. 3, circumvention of the charter in the Texas Open Meetings Act. As you know, the City of Fate Charter Section 5.03.2 states, if the petition and affidavit are certified as sufficient, the city secretary shall present the certificate of sufficiency and the petition to the city council at the next regular city council meeting, emphasizing on next regular city council meeting. Here, the next regular city council meeting was scheduled for February 2nd, 2026, and notice was provided to the public voters pursuant to the Open Meetings Act. In fact, the City of Fate's public website still shows the notice and corresponding agenda, designating February 2nd, 2026 as a regular city council meeting and designating the January 26th meeting as a special city council meeting. Inexplicably, Mayor Greenberg used his official position in an attempt to change the status of the next regular city council meeting to January 26, 2026, on a date on which the City of Fate, as well as all other cities in the region of Texas, were closed due to inclement weather as a result of a severe weather winter advisory that coated the roadways with inches of ice. Taking this official action to ensure compliance with the February 13, 2026 deadline to place Councilwoman Chen on the May recall ballot would not have been possible but for Mayor Greenberg's official position. Conclusion, going forward, any suggestion or allegation that Councilwoman Cody Chen committed any crime in her capacity as an elected public official on behalf of the taxpayers of the City of Fate should be addressed to my office. If Mayor Greenberg or Councilmember Hatley have retained private criminal defense counsel or have been referred to private criminal defense counsel, please provide that information and I will contact those attorneys directly. Thank you for your assistance to this matter. Attorney Cody L. Skipper. That's all.
Thank you, Councilwoman Chen. Any other discussion from council on this action item? Okay, I will close the public hearing at 7:04 p.m. All right, Ms. Vicky, next agenda item, please.
Next will be Agenda Item 5B, which is discuss, consider, and take any necessary action regarding ordinance number O-2026-021, ordering a special election to be held on Saturday, May 2nd, 2026, for the purpose of determining whether Cody Chen, Councilmember Place 1, shall be removed from office by recall, establishing that said election will be administered by the Rockwall County Elections Administrator, providing for early voting by personal appearance, establishing procedures for the election, providing for a contract with the Rockwall County Elections Administration for election services, and providing severability clause and an effective date.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a
Mr. Hatley.
I'll make a motion that we pass ordinance number 0-2026-021.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, seeing as there's a motion and a second, any discussion? Mr. Harper.
Yes, I would like to make a statement based on this vote that is about to take place. I just want the public to realize that this vote is a procedural vote and that whether we not agree with this or do not agree with this vote needs to be taken to move this to the next step. I do not agree with this, but I will be voting to move this to the next step because that's what we are supposed to do.
And I just don't want anyone to think that my yes vote on this is going to show my support for the recall of Cody Chin. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harper. Ms. Chen?
What happens if I abstain?
Under the law, you do not have a conflict of interest under 171 of the local government code. So an abstention is actually a no vote. And so if you choose to abstain, it is a no vote against ordering the election.
And by me doing that, am I opening up the city to any kind of liability?
I don't know if your single vote would do that, but certainly ordering the election is a ministerial act once the certificate of sufficiency has been issued.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, please vote on the motion. The motion passes 6-1, abstention by Councilwoman Cody Chin. Thank you, Ms. Vicky. Next agenda item, please.
Next will be agenda item number 6, Mayor, Council, and City Manager reports.
Okay, Councilwoman Chin.
I was deeply moved by all of the comments tonight. Thank you all, every single one of you who came out, who spoke. I love you guys more than you know. That's all I got tonight. Thank y'all.
Mr. Harper.
I did want to thank the public for coming out and speaking. Whichever side you take on this, it doesn't matter. Have your voices heard. And appreciate the citizen involvement. Thank you.
Councilman Kelly.
No comments.
Mr. Manival.
I do not have a report tonight.
Mr. Hatley.
I just want to thank everybody who came out to speak. Everything that happened here tonight is part of the process. Everybody gets to have their side, their say, and it goes on the election for May 2nd. So it's everybody participating in the process I see as a positive thing, no matter which side you're on. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Ms. Huffman.
I also thank everybody for coming out and making your voice heard and your opinions on the record, and encourage you to participate in the upcoming vote.
Thank you, Ms. Huffman. No report from me. Mr. Kovacs.
Yes, sir, just a few things. County consortiums are next Wednesday, the 18th. There's no emergency service court, but there is a road consortium at 5:30. And then Thursday, March 5th, the CIAC is meeting at 6 p.m. That's the Capital Impact Advisory Committee. And then we've had a little bit of a break. The next council meeting is Monday, March 9th.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kovacs. Ms. Vicky, next agenda item, please.
Last will be agenda item number 7, adjournment.
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes 7-0. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.